Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spoiler Territory. This is season 3, episode 3, where I talk about the Flash's Armageddon this event thing. It's not so much a crossover, more like an event. I'm doing this bit on the podcast because I'm not talking about other characters within the Arrowverse, and I will spoil some things to help you understand like why certain characters are the way they are, and some things that the other Arrowverse characters say that kind of like threw me off, and especially like around what has to deal with Supergirls, and I'll deal with that. I'll talk to you. I'll mention that a little bit later in the episode, but just want to point out that I do review the Flash. I'm not pretty sure I might review it when it comes back on March. So who knows on that? It depends how busy I am and for my other channels and stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna do parts 1 and 3 the best I can. I feel like doing this through part 3 is interesting because not much has happened in parts 1 and 2, so I feel like 3 is where it's really going with the event thing is like picking up, so I feel like that's really interesting. So similar to how I do the Flash, I look at notes and I will do the best I can to um, say what I need to say, and with the notes here, and if you're listening to this for audio, it's like no big deal for you. Yeah, but yeah, just that. Just want to point that out. Before I feel like this is actually really cool, an interesting scene. Barry dealing with so much stuff immediately, instead of him like being prepared like last crossover in Crisis. It was like a warning. Yeah, he's got like so much warning of a crisis that's about to happen, and it happened, and he was in a way prepared for that. But this one is that he's trying to figure out why. Is that he's like us, we're learning as we go, So that's actually something they're doing that's new and refreshing. I really like that. We start off with in 2031, where it turns out that there's a bunch of disaster happened. Apparently, that the Flash has done something, and we learned that there's this guy named Despero. He wants to make sure the world is saved and all these things. And then we're going present day Central City, where there's about to be a train accident, and then it takes about 12 seconds for Barry to save the train. That's really impressive. I really love that. He's like really getting faster, and we know that he says that a lot, but it's one thing to actually see it. You know what I mean, man? To me, I was thinking about why not he just face the train, but I realized that was not a good idea. Just the train would just go down, so that's not a good idea. So that's him saving the train that way is a good idea. We see that Caitlin is with Barry, like he was like, talking to him about the train and the fact that she wants to. And she also adds that Frost is like not there, just she's out of town doing who knows what. Who knows if she will show up in parts 4 or 5. Oh yeah, one point out real quick. This is obviously spoiler territory, so if you haven't watched other shows, I will mention Legends of Tomorrow a little bit about Ray and then Black Lightning and Supergirl, especially the Supergirl season, a series finale. So if you haven't watched those shows, then and also I'll talk about a little bit about Batwoman, like mostly towards the video, the parts 4 and 5. So I watched those shows, so that way I want to point out that I will be mentioning those shows, and I will get into like spoilers, obviously. So just want to point out, right? So like, Caitlin wants to tells Barry that she wants to date and all these things, but it's been a long time since she hasn't really dated anybody like since Ronnie. Like we see that Frost has dating, kind of dating the show Blaine dude, but that's not really Caitlin, you know what I mean? So and then we see that in the Central City Citizen, which is at Iris's newspaper places. She's at expanding, and Sue Dearborn, she's like basically the landlord. She's not in this crossover, but like she is mentioned because I feel like they needed something for her to do, because she's a really internet I feel like they should really use that character, but it's just that there's not really much of her to do anymore, because that else on the show anymore. You know what I mean? So yeah. So then we see that we learned that Iris has a podcast that she's talking to the Kramer about the city and the Flash and all that stuff. So and then that Allegra's like waking up her journalist skills, and basically Iris wants her to be in charge of the stories and all that stuff, to make sure to talk to the other editors about this, like for the scene, what type of stories to focus on and all these things. So that's actually something for her to pay attention with. And then we get that out of nowhere, like, Ray Palmer like shows up in town, and he interrupts Barry and Iris's downtime. Like, and so anyways, and he's not with Noah. She like doing like fairy stuff, fake godmother stuff. So that's something that she's focusing on now. And then we see that we don't see her obviously, but yeah, that would be nice for her to see. And then I don't know where there's like this new group called the Flush King. They're stolen. They went inside Mercury Labs and they stole like a ship, and then like a tech ship, and then there's not the Meta Task Force was involved, so because they like shut that down, and then is thinking about Barry and the rest of the team are thinking about if the train accident and the ship are in a way connected to them, and then out of nowhere, like Barry learns that Iron Heights they have power out, and it's interesting because it's like there are obviously some Flash villains inside Iron Heights, but they don't even show who the prisoners or anything. Is that Barry just speeds up, puts everybody back in the cells as if it's like easy, like some of those characters probably have powers and they drop in charging for Barry, but I feel like they, no pun intended, but it's specting up to like that sequence up because they just want to get that over with and focus on the Flash game. So I don't know, it just feels weird seeing Barry the Flash not inside. We don't see him inside trying to catch the bad guys from escaping, you know what I mean? That's weird. And then we learned that Chester is talking with Ray, and the fact that he just wants to be in charge of Ray's schedule and all these things, and he eventually points out to him that he wants a real and balanced life because he was with the Legends back then, and he wanted to be with Noah, so then he had to find a common ground for himself, and he said that he hasn't put on the Adam suit ever since he left the Legends, and I believe that. And it's unclear if he even worked on the suit, even if he's done any technical things with the suit, like towards the beginning stages of him, being like not with the Legends, leaving, it's unclear on that. I'll mention how I did that a little bit later. There's like this crypto thing that's like basically a casino with crypto, and the Flash gains that motive. I feel like that's what Flash is figuring out, and also the fact that he wants to figure out a way to think fast like he did back then, where he was like, he put on the device that made him think fast, but he went out of control and he doesn't want to cause that to happen again, and all these things. And then Despero meets the Flash, and all these things happen with Barry. Despero meets the Flash because he wants to tell him that don't get mad always, or because that bad things will happen with him, and will make him destroy the Earth and all that stuff. So, and then they basically the Flash is in trouble. So Ray puts on the Atom suit for the first time in a really long time. They fight. Despero the best they can, and Ray treats Barry but just by holding his hand, and that's really weird. Just in Crisis on Infinite Earth, he uses this Ray uses this rage on tapped in on his hand, like to drink Superman. Do you remember that? Because and then he uses the same thing for Superman to grow. So it's really weird that that happened out of nowhere. He's never in Legends of Tomorrow. He's never threatened anybody just by holding their hand or anything like that. So that was really weird. It just feels a little odd that they would do that, but in that way. But it was really nice to see. That's actually pretty cool to see. So that's just wish they were maybe explain like. I wish maybe if we would have seen him drunk and buried, that would have made more sense, But that's fine. So basically, they try to stop him the best they can, and then the Despero dude, he says that Flash crosses the road to end, which is like Armageddon, and then they figure out then that they go back into Star Labs and they figure out the fact that he's there dealing with an alien, and they mention alerts, and then Allegra, back with Allegra, the three people that she was working with, and she wanted to make sure like true stories were coming out that were grab people's attention, and she motivates them to really look into like the stuff that Allegra was interested in, and it works, So she's like stepping things up and really being in charge, and I love that about her. And then Ray is about to leave, and then he tells Barry, show Despero who you really are by being yourself. And that's what nice advice that Ray gave to Barry. So yeah, and that was the end of part one. I really like the final thoughts of that. I was really amazing scene. Ray pumped with the guy, never seen scene. It was the way he spoke with Chester about being a tech nerd. Was interesting, and also that he was interested in being doing like tech stuff that's back in Arrow. He wanted to. That's what Ray was doing. He was basically doing like startup companies, and now he wasn't sure. Now he's going to. He's interested in doing those things. He's considering that, And he's also doing one who he named. He's gonna name one of the startups after Chester's dad. So that's a really nice thing. And yeah, just the name of the tricking thing, that was really weird. And they mentioned like the Team Flash, that they mentioned that they're like the deal of aliens. So they mentioned Alexander with the fact that they contact her because she's like knows about aliens, obviously. So let's go to part two, where Despero is focusing on Barry's madness, and he tells Barry that he has 7 days to do all his things, and then Alex is like on a monitor TV then, and gives Star Labs a mainframe to locate Despero and Chase, and then for some reason I didn't see Frost here, and she's considering on Barry going like ASF. I think that's fast thinking, and which is like the thing that I mentioned earlier about him using the machine to drive him mad, and I don't think that's a good idea. But then Barry, Team Flash wants Chester to make a weapon to protect Barry, and Chester is a pacifist, and if you don't know what that is, it means that he is someone who refuses to fight or does something to have. Basically, Chester doesn't want anyone. He doesn't want anyone to get hurt. But Allegra tells Chester later on that about how important is it to help Barry, and more that later. And then from out of nowhere, like there was this guy in the museum who this security guard in the museum that went a little off, and then did some went mad, and then Barry wants to investigate because he's a CSI for the Central City Police Department, and Kramer walks up to him and tells him that he's suspended because of the girl Sunshine, right? I think that's what her name is. Who has to do something with cover, and that Barry's kind of like a second-hand man. Because it's kind of like he's framed for helping cover out, and Barry looks in shock because he's unexpected. Is that he basically is. He didn't lose his job, but he's suspended, so it feels like he lost his job. But the fact that what's going on here with Team Flash is that they're trying to focus on the positive stuff, and made sure that things are working out for them and made sure things are the berries that doesn't get mad, but it's just unexpected stuff like that, to make him feel upset. And yeah, that's something that Barry has to control himself with that, is to make sure he doesn't lash out, kind of like the security draw dude. And then Cecile feels overwhelmed because of her powers, and she feels that his energy and Barry's energy, the fact that he's angry and upset, he starts like basically angry, and then Barry sees like the god in the hospital, and like yeah, so basically the dude is shouting Zotor, right? But it's interesting that why didn't Barry dress up as the Flash to see the dude? You know what I mean? Like that way he talked to him maybe, but instead he's sneaking on the hospital. It just makes no sense. I don't know. He should have put on the Flash suit and try to speak to the dude to see what's going on, and then for some reason Barry gets a call, and the city wants to shut down Star Labs, and it's because of radiation, and the fact that this is actually a really big problem because they don't want the people like shut down the Star Labs to find out that Barry's the Flash. So he has to do really fast thinking, but he talks to Gideon about holographic and emitters, and he said basically like the holographic stuff are covering the lab and all stuff. But it's a coincidence, and it's interesting the fact that the guards don't, or the people who are shutting down Star Labs don't touch the walls. If they do, they will know it's a hologram, and they just so happen not to touch the walls. So Barry got real lucky there. Just leaves the information about like the hit weapon. Basically, he takes as much stuff as he can, but I feel like he took something from the weapon because he had to like make a weapon to protect Barry, like I said earlier before. And Gideon has to raise all the servers in Star Labs for Barry's safety, and Barry does that, so Gideon is shut down. So the Soul lead and turns to Iris, and Flash finds out that there's a meta from a natural city whose name is Zotor, and she controls him and almost hurts the team, and he remembers nothing of it. Basically, he destroyed the loft where Barry was staying at because the Star Labs is like shut down, so he remembers nothing about hurting the team, and then Barry freezes at the city, and Despero finds him and talks to him and tells him about his home story, about how his planet was like destroyed, and the fact that he wants to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else, and that's where he found out about Barry in some way in the future, of course, in 2031, where he wants to make sure that he prevents the Earth from being destroyed by the Flash and everything. So we learn a little bit more about Despero there. This is actually nice to see a little bit of his, not, it feels like a motive, but yeah, just we learn a little bit more about him that way, so that's nice. And then that lady from Central City, she's in Central City, and she steals that painting or something from a museum, and it represents nothing. Basically, it's that there's a MacGuffin. It's that there's no story on that. It's just something villain, bad guy type of character wanting to get something useless and that has nothing important to the story or whatever. So it's really weird that they would go that route. She's basically like controlling Barry and breaking his bones and all these things, and with that Kaylin, Allegra, and Chester, like they're out somewhere else, and they're seeing like Barry's like heart monitoring all these things, and learning that he's about to break, and it's also something's about to happen with Barry, and they don't know what's gonna happen or what he gotta do, but and Barry just uses a bunch of lightning. He blasts so much lightning on the lady, and then he covers her, so she's basically arrested, so she can no longer do any harm. And then Barry learns that the security guard who went mad, he's out of the hospital and feeling better. So that's something that Barry's glad that happens. The fact that it's happened really well with all this stuff. And then here's the big twister. Like, we and Barry find out that Joe West is dead, and which is a big shock because it's like the fact that he died 6 months ago trying to Team Flash, and Barry doesn't believe them, and he races to Cecile's house and tries to figure out where Joe is, and Barry makes Cecile really upset because he's dead, and we see that a photo of him, and then we see that Barry is about to be attacked by Despero, but Chester saves Barry by making a device to protect Barry instead of hurting Despero. So that's actually something that Chester is wanting to do, and I love that Chester is doing something amazing there, helped him out that way. And then Barry is off, and he leaves and goes somewhere, and then we learn that Team Flash is talking to Alice Danvers, and she says Kara and John are off-world. Now, if you watch Supergirl, you know a few things here. I want to point out a few things out. First of all, at the end of Supergirl, Alex went on a honeymoon that she's married, so she came back immediately, basically. I don't know the timeline of when the Supergirl show and this one, but I don't know. They don't point that out, but yeah, probably sure it's been a while since Alex returned from her honeymoon, and she was on the monitor, so I can't tell if she has the ring or not. I don't know. She said that she's off-world, and like John Jones made sense. It's okay, like he can go off-world if he needs to, but he's an alien and he has things to do. People have things to do, but Kara has no reason to be off-world. She works in Catco now, and they just, as the writers didn't pay attention to that. Just say that she's doesn't want to be a superhero now. Let's tell Team Flash that she's retired. They will understand. Like, seriously, I'm pretty sure Team Flash would probably have seen the video of that an ending of Catco where Cat is talking to Supergirl, and they won't point that out or anything. I just don't know why they would just say. I don't know why they would say she's off-world. It just makes no sense. It's like, come on, it's a crossover event happening, and you're making like horrible excuse on why she's not there. And yeah. Now, like for Superman is they don't talk about Superman. I understand that's like its own show, so it's a kind of different in a way, but they did have John Dicko in the show, and if you remember, like those times when he was like basically crossover in most of the Arrowverse shows, so like he exists, and this is all in the same universe type of thing. It feels that way. I'm not 100% on that, but it feels like Superman and Lewis, the show, is part of the Arrowverse. That's what I feel like. It is. So just feel for them not splitting anything about Superman. That's fine. I understand, but saying that Kara is off-world, that makes no sense. Why would she go off-world? That she's not Supergirl. She is Supergirl, but she's not doing Supergirl dates. She's Kara doing Kara dates. You know what I mean? And then Barry is in the hangar where it's at the Hall of Justice type building, and Black Lightning shows up, thankfully, and Barry, he wants to know what's going on, and there's an injustice. That's what is going on, as the Barry tells him, and that's the end of part 2. So like, okay, so like 2 things I really want to point out before I go to part 3 is that for Allegra, I feel like she actually really stepped up her game really well. I feel like she really is really doing well for herself and the sexual assistant thing, and it's nice seeing her really learn how to be there for her team in such a city citizen. She wants to do a lot for herself, and also she is also being. She's also there for Chester, telling him, basically guiding him to protect Barry because he's part of team. He's part of Team Flash. I really love that. We did see Frost in the beginning of part two. Just that she wasn't there that much. Then is that she was there and she was like she left out of nowhere. Then they switched back to Caitlyn and all these things. And the thing is with this crossover so far, we love what they did with Caitlyn. They really had to step out of Frost's shadow and actually had to be her own person. Something that's been the previous season had promised with her is that she wasn't her own character, and now she's doing so much to do in this crossover. I just really wanted this to like really work out and balance well. However, for this crossover, even though things worked for Caitlyn in this crossover, I feel like they were missing the mark here with Frost. Is that they switched it up for some reason, and this show needs to learn how to balance both of these characters really well. Just if they want to like separate these two characters and make them their own, they should stop treating them as like the other half. You know what I mean? That's not what they are anymore. They're two individual, different characters with different personalities. They're all different. The personalities are different. If even they don't see it, like they have their own reasons for what they are and who they are. You know what I mean? So especially with the background, all these things, like Frost being a meta and all these things, and then Caitlyn being like a scientist basically. So it's best for them to learn how to do these. But I feel like maybe if Frost was in this in part two, maybe they would just focus more on Caitlyn. Maybe they would just. I think that would be really great. It just showed up. It's just weird that it's weird that Frost showed up out of nowhere and just left. You know what I mean? It feels weird, you know. Now without drawing part three, where things are really dread here. So then Barry wants Black Lightning to like take away his powers and all his things, and I feel like they're going back and forth on why they should do that, why it's not a good idea. And didn't Barry learn anything from what Jake Garrett said about that when if Barry loses his speed, that his enemies will be powerful and not only powerful but unstoppable, even more unstoppable because Barry's speed is needed. So yeah, I'm surprised that Jake Garrett didn't show up and told Barry a lesson or two. But yeah, the Team Flash are really trying to figure out why is Barry being framed, all these things, and the fact that they're trying to learn more about Joe's death, and then Iris and Cecile like basically going back and forth, being mad at each other. That Iris is pretty much showing Cecile's Joe's death right in her face, and she's like still grieving and his flaws and all his things, and the fact that was a little bit much. And then we learned that he died by an accidental train incident. So then we learned that Cecile talks to his girl, this poor girl named Rosa Denon, and I saw a few clips on YouTube where like I learned more about her. I forgot who she was. So she's Mirror Master's. She was dating Mirror Master basically. She has like similar powers to Cecile, so I feel like they're basically trying to figure out like Cecile wants her help, so and offers to get her parole lifted basically, and so that she agrees. And then Jefferson tells Barry Allen about Bill Henderson and Black Lightning. Bill was this police officer who saved Jefferson's life, and he was a really important person to Jefferson. I just really love that, and it makes me think about the awesome days I was reviewing the show. I reviewed Black Lightning, if you guys don't know, just on the certain channel. I reviewed it back then, and I loved reviewing that show. That was actually a really amazing show. It's nice seeing Black Lightning back. If you guys don't realize, Black Lightning actually, in the ending of Black Lightning, Jefferson said that he retires and he wants to let his daughters his daughters are like basically the superheroes in Freeland. So the fact that he has the suit back on, it means that that he came out of retirement and to help Barry. So I just want to point out, you just don't know that technically speaking, Black Lightning that in a way retired, but he's put his suit back on because Barry needed help. So I just want to point out, you just don't know. So, and then Black Lightning starts taking some of Barry's powers away, and we just, even though it's a lot, it's not all of it, obviously, because it's Barry that so much, he has so much speed force within him. It's gotta be wild for him to take his powers away. And then, for some reason, like in where the accident happened, where Joe died, so Allegra and Iris like they're trying to see things, and then Allegra's eyes glow for some reason. This never happened before. Well, besides the time where she blew up, like in that kind of like Captain Marvel. But yeah, just but for some reason, Iris sees like sparkly, glittery things around, and she was wondering that why Allegra doesn't see the stuff that she sees. So it's something that interesting that way she's trying to figure out why that is. Uh, Team Flash has to reconnect with Barry to try to figure out where he is, and they use that the seal and Rosa. They try to like use that the powers that Justin made something to help them figure out where Barry is and like have an image of Barry, to see where Barry's at, and he's able to, as the seal isn't really like putting effort into it, and then Rosa basically is a little harsh on the seal tells, and she tells her to put her feelings aside and do things. There's a lot of things that the seal has to like really focus, and she's really harsh on Rosa's hold on Cecile, but she is right, and she's able to figure out where Barry is at. I don't know what his name is, but he said the dude, the green was age after he basically was that within the Speed Force talks to Iris about temporal matter. The fact that if he takes the temporal matter of Iris, she will be able to see things and try to see better things and all these things, and basically she knows that somebody wanted Joe to die, basically, and that Kaylin tells Cecile about Ronnie about the fact that she had to it took her a long time to mourn as well when he died, all these things, and then we learned that Despero turned on the particle accelerator and to basically figure out like to mess with Cecile and Rosa, basically, and then Barry tells Black Lightning about Despero and why he wants the fact that he wants to kill him, basically, and Black Lightning and Barry they go back and forth about the fact that Barry controls his own destiny in a way, and that basically Barry gets mad and all these things and tries to attack Black Lightning, and he accidentally breaks the glass thing where they have Oliver's suit, and then they talk about Barry and Jefferson. They talk about Oliver and the fact that this is what Oliver wanted you to become and all these things, and the fact that Oliver sacrificed himself for Barry because Barry was, according to Oliver, Barry was the best of them. Team Flash figures out where Barry is, the fact that he's in a hangar with Jefferson, and then the dude Despero finds Barry and attacks Black Lightning, but then Iris shows up with the dude with green jacket, and basically he snaps the dude snaps his fingers, and then Barry's able to have enough speed for that energy to go to the future, and then we see that he's close to the future, and then they see Ryan Troy, they see Alex Danvers, and they see Batwoman with Iris, they see Brutus Ryan Wilder, and then the fact that Wells is with Iris, and they're talking about being together, and it feels like Um, it looks like they're wondering why Barry's there, and what it feels like is that maybe Barry and Will switch faces. That's what it seems like. So yeah, that's actually interesting. That's all three parts of the crossover so far. I really love this episode. We learned so much more, and it's really picked up with them, and that we learned that Chester wants to become that a better member of the Team Flash. He doesn't want to hurt anyone, but he understands the missions and everything. And we see that Elektra really helped the team to help Iris out right there, and then we learned that Iris and Cecile like they try to help Barry their own way, and even though they disagree with each other, they in a way were a big part of point keys in this episode. So yeah, we learn a bit more about Frost. Caitlin talking to Cecile about Ronnie. That was such a something that she needed to hear, and then the Despero, I feel like he basically attacked Rosa, so, and she's not dead, surprisingly, so she's like, she's barely breathing, so that's something interesting that was to happen next. That'll be interesting seeing what Barry's gonna do in the future, and why his well is there, you know. So yeah, just seeing them in that way, just seeing what's up with all of this, and yeah, it'll be interesting seeing this crossover event thing is pretty nice. Is that I feel like it makes sense for it to be within the Flash shows. Because it's mostly about Barry. I feel like it was like in other they showed that if they continue it and other shows that were like they were focused up in somewhere else, you know. So I love that race there because it has that it's used from the Legends of Tomorrow, or the Legends are like doing their own thing and at a certain time, and so they're like trying to figure out their own things. How if I've seen like the Legend there, and also seeing that he was also an Arrow, so it has like Arrow vibes into it. When we just see Mia, and that's parts. So this would be interesting seeing what's up with that, and then we'd learn more. We just see Barry interact with Ryan Router for the first time, so that's Ryan been interacting with the rest of the Arrowverse characters, so that's gonna be interesting to see, despite that show being something else. Yeah, so yeah. Hopefully, all of you enjoy my podcast episode. In 2 weeks I will come back and talk to you guys about the parts 4 and 5 about the finale. Hope all of you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what your thoughts are on the crossover down below. Do you love it? Do you like it? Are you keep watching or not? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. It's gonna be really awesome scene. And I feel like this crossover event, they showed Barry's true potential. They showed that Barry can do so much more. So I don't know if they're doing that just for the crossover, just like to hype things up, the crossover stuff. It's like mostly hype stuff to that the audience excited for the other shows. So basically, what I'm saying is maybe I think there's a possibility that maybe the after the crossover, the Flash maybe might go back to the regular roots of doing like the Flash stuff that made them not so great. But I feel like audience had hopefully they'll go that route. Hopefully they actually improve with them with the show and actually show Barry's doing like Flash stuff, and also him like the thing blasting that meta human character was actually an awesome thing scene, and him like seeing the train, that was also fun to see. I really love seeing Black Lightning then. It was the shows and it was fun reviewing the show. So just seeing that character back and seeing what him interacting with Barry, that was really interesting. Seeing what would happen, with them between Barry and Jefferson. I really love that they spoke about Oliver and so yeah. Alright, thank you so much for listening. If you're on Anchor or if you're on YouTube watching, thank you so much for watching. I'll see all of you next time. Peace.